Welcome, welcome, welcome. Lesson 10. My thoughts do not mean anything. What? My thoughts do not mean anything. So, this idea applies to all the thoughts of which you are aware or become aware of throughout the day as you practice and look at this lesson. So, when we hear my thoughts do not mean anything, remember we are thinking of the thoughts that we have been thinking with the ego. When we're thinking with the ego, we're not really thinking. It's kind of like we're hallucinating or we're dreaming and we're not in our right mind. It's insane thinking because it's not the thoughts of love. It's thoughts based on fear and therefore upset. And when we know and realize we are one with God and one with each other, there would be no fear, there would be no upset. We'd be in our right mind, and those thoughts that we would be thinking would be truly thinking. Not hallucinating that we're separate or having this awful nightmare that, oh my gosh, I'm separate from God, I'm separate from everyone else, therefore I'm afraid. Those thoughts literally don't mean anything. They're not real because they're not the truth. The only truth is that we are love, we are one, we are connected. So it says to think the fact that my thoughts do not mean anything means that we're not really thinking when we're thinking with ego. Ego's fear. The only thing that's true and real is love. So the only time we're really thinking is when we are thinking thoughts that line up with Holy Spirit and line up with love. So what we're doing, it says this idea is helping us to release us from all that we've been believing. All those fear-based thoughts, all those judgmental thoughts, all the dragging of the past and everything that the ego's shown us. It's releasing us of that, realizing, oh, there's another way to think of this. There's another way to look. There's a way to truly think with Holy Spirit what's true and real, which will always be based in love. So we look around about today and say, my thought about blank does not mean anything. My thought about blank does not mean anything. Because think of where those thoughts have been coming from the ego, fear-based thinking. This idea will help to release me from all that I thought I believed. I believed I was separate. I believed I'm separate from God and from each other. I believed that this body is the real essence of me and not the spirit inside. Therefore, I'm believing all those fear-based things that the ego has brought to the table for me, and I've accepted them, I've listened to them, and they've upset me time and time again because I have felt upset, I have felt lack of peace, I have felt worried or anxious or depressed. Those are all clear signs that we've been listening to thoughts of the ego, which I use those words again. It's like we're dreaming a bad nightmare dream that I'm separate from God, and when I wake up, I realize, oh, I'm really one with God. I'm one with everybody else. There's nothing to be afraid of. None of that dreaming ego thought stuff was real. The only thing that's real are the loving thoughts of Holy Spirit, where we're one, we rest in God, we're connected, we're safe all of the time. So my thoughts do not mean anything.